Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Pat, and on this channel I talk about all the crafty things I'm doing. You will notice I am wearing a scarf. It's a knitted scarf. This is, I just completed this a few days ago. It is called the Beginner Stitch Sampler Scarf. As you can see, there are different stitch patterns in it. And this is the basket weave. Some of them I can't tell you what they are. There's ribbing. It's a pattern from Find Your Niche that I found for free on Ravelry. I'll leave a link below. It's composed of 6-inch sections, each featuring a different popular stitch pattern. And so there are 6 different stitch patterns: garter stitch, stockinette, basket weave, seed stitch, smooth sand, and the ribbed section. The ribbed is the center, and then you start going back in the opposite direction of the way it lists, or you can do whatever you want. It's about, I think it's about 74 inches long. I did mine with Red Heart Super Saver because it's what I had on hand. I think I used US, it says US 8. I don't remember if I used US 8 or US 9, US 7, I mean needles. Yeah, there's some tension issues, but it's for learning, and I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, that if you look closely at it, you can see some issues there, but it serves its purpose as a lightweight scarf. Here in Georgia, I don't always need wool, but I don't think I own a wool scarf. So, but it was a really good way to practice some different stitch patterns and practice knit and purl, practice changing between knit and purl. The edges don't roll because it's 3 knit at the beginning and the end on every row. So even when you're doing stockinette stitch, the edges don't roll. And this is the garter stitch. So that's my fully finished object today. I've made a lot of progress on everything, is one reason why I wanted to jump on here and do a quick video. And today is January 1st, 2026. So I hope everyone has a good year and that we ease into this and that things work out the best they can. So I've been both knitting and cross stitching. And so other knitting things. Oh, this one's not fully finished. It's getting close. So I bought this book at my local yarn store, How to Knit by Tina Barrett. It retails for about $15. It's pretty nice, and these are some of the projects in there. So it goes over the basics. Now, could you learn to knit from this alone? I'm not sure, but in conjunction with videos I've been watching, I was pretty happy with it. And so it has 9 different techniques. Excuse me, starting with knit stitch and then purl, then changing colors, rib, decreasing, increasing, cabling, and then it has lace knitting, and it has buttonholes. And for each technique, then there's a project. I haven't done all the projects because some of them is like, well, I already know how to knit and purl. So the first project is a tablet cover, so for your iPad or whatever, or e-reader. Then a hot water bottle cover. I don't use a hot water bottle. There's a striped hobo bag to teach you. It uses knit and purl, and each project builds on what you've already learned. It teaches you changing colors. So it has, you do this bag. Well, I didn't really need another bag. So I started on a tablet cover going, I'll do knit, purl, and color change and do a tablet cover. But then I wasn't really liking it, so I stopped. Then rib stitch has fingerless gloves. They call them gauntlets. And then they talk about decreasing, and they have a hat. I'm turning it odd because that's this way so I can show you. Then for increasing is this little clutch bag. So I'm working on that. And here's how mine looks right now. This is Lion brand. I think it's called Denim. I think is the type of the type of yarn, not just the color. So I've made mine a little smaller than theirs, but I need to next cut out some fabric for a lining. It calls for fabric and interfacing for the lining, and then they use a snap closure, a popper, as I think people in UK call it. And I'll have to sew up the edges. So this also, the book tells you how to join items, so how to do a seam here. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is a really soft yarn. It's acrylic, but it's really, really soft. And it's something I had left over from a few years ago. Then they also show cabling. The cabling, I don't know that I want. That's a placemat and a coaster. I don't know. I may try the coaster. Then they show lace knitting, this cowl. And that's knitted with, I believe that's DK or Aaron. I've written all that down somewhere. Project 8. No, that's actually done with bulky yarn, a bulky weight yarn. So I may do that. And then they show you how to do buttonholes. And the last project is kind of hard to see the photo of it. It's a big pillow cover, but I don't know if you can see, but there are 4 different stitch patterns. So they give you each of these stitch patterns, and then you seam them together from one side of your pillow cover. The other side is done in stockinette and has buttonholes and ribbing here between the buttonholes. So that lets you practice buttonholes and buttons. So I definitely plan to do that. I think their example, they call these different stitches double moss stitch, lizard lattice stitch, diagonal seed stitch, and tile stitch. And then it has the back flap with the button band and the back flap with the buttonhole band. And then, of course, you have to use a mattress stitch to line them up and sew them together and put it over. They used a 16-inch cushion pad. It's a small book, but like I said, it retails for about $15. I think it's worth that just to have some different small practice items. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to do a whole sweater and then figure out how to do the buttonholes on a cardigan. And I could see myself maybe, if I like this little, they call it a clutch, I would use it as a notions bag in my project bags. Is what I plan to do with it. That, I can make it different shapes and, different dimensions. Maybe make one that holds, knitting needles or crochet hooks, or scissors. So I'm pretty happy with that. And with this. Okay, so next up, sock I was working on. I didn't bring my finished sock in here. So a few weeks ago, I talked about knitting some socks that were purple. I did get one knitted. It does fit. I'm pretty happy. But I had to take a break from socks. I needed but a couple of days ago, I cast on the second sock. These are US1 DPNs. The yarn is, I don't know how to pronounce that. And it's Prism Prints. It's a hand-painted superwash wool blend, 75% superwash, 25% polyamide, which is nylon. It's a #1 superfine. And it comes in a 100-gram ball. And the colorway is ethereal. Let's see. And this is I call them a yarn sock. What else you call it? It's stretchy material. Somebody local to me makes them and sells them. And this cute little ghost fabric. It's like a spandex. And I'm doing center pull. It works well for center pull. Excuse me, my nose wants to run. So I'm working on that sock. I wanted to knit something big. I have a lot of yarn, mainly Red Heart, Super Saver, or Karen 1 pound, like a worsted weight. And so I was thinking I would like maybe a poncho that I could throw on if I'm just going out to the mailbox, or maybe even if I'm running to the store, but something I could just throw on over, my other clothes, or I can wear sitting on the couch when it's cold, and still have use of my hands to knit or read. So not a coat that's constraining me, but a poncho. So I looked online and I found this on, I think this is on yarnspirations.com. It's from Bernat. It's a free pattern. Okay. And it's this poncho. So you make it in squares. So like this striped is a square. This square is half blue and then half striped, half red and half striped. And it gives you make a bunch of these squares and sew them together. But then the square you use for your neck, it has neck hole shaping. So the part of the instructions tells you the neck hole shape. And now they added a fringe to it. I don't really care for fringe, so I don't doubt I'll add the fringe. So these aren't my favorite colors necessarily. I wanted something bright, and also I thought, and I like scrappy quilts and scrappy made. Add all the colors. So I started it with, I think this is Red Heart Super Saver, based on the feel of it. I don't know. I don't know where the label is. It's worsted weight acrylic. So you start in a corner and then you do increases on each end until you get to the middle and then you do decreases. As you can tell, I'm doing this on a circular because I didn't have a knitting needle. I still haven't gotten to the center of the square. So I've been working on this. It's just garter stitch, but with increases on each side. And then, like I said, then decreases. This, trying to think if it explains. I don't think it explains exactly it doesn't tell you like how to do the increases, but you want to do the edge increases. So now I'm to a point of trying to figure out how I'm going to do the colors. I said random colors, like a big Rubbermaid tub full of random colors. Just like I could do a lot with this big ball of yarn. I don't want it all dark blue, and I don't think I want it as planned as theirs. I think I want, because this is like 3 different colors of stripes, so you're changing colors every 4 rows for the stripe section, and I don't think I wanna do that. And if I'm gonna have scrappy colors, I kinda want it to look random. So now I've been going back and forth in my head of do I want to have it split in the center, or do I want to split somewhere between the center? So again, I have random width stripes to kind of go with different colors. Do I want to try to pick up coordinating colors only? Do I want to do blue and white? Do I care? And I keep going back to, I really just need to use this yarn. I just want to use the yarn. And if I never wear it out of the house, that's fine. But I'll wear scrappy. I'm good with that. You know, that it has lots of different colors in it. I don't go out of the house a lot, but I do sometimes. So I just I need to make a decision, and also remind myself that it's just yarn. It's just a poncho that I want to make. I don't want to have. There's no deadline. And I do this mainly for the process, not just the product. So if I do a square and I go, I really don't like the way I'm doing these stripes or colors, I can always frog it and start over. It's not the end of the world. And the fact that they are done in squares, it's gonna be, I think I've still got 5 or 6 more rows. It doesn't tell you in the pattern how big the, tells you how many stitches to have, but it doesn't, before you start decreasing, but doesn't really explain how big are the squares. It has 2 different sizes, extra small to extra large, fits chest size, bust measurement, 28 to 46 inches. So that's gonna be really big on a small person. And then extra large 2X to 5X, that's 48 to 62. Um, and it says bust measurement, but I wonder, I keep going, is it truly my bust measurement or does it include my arms? Because that's 2 very different measurements. So I need to look. I think I looked on Ravelry and didn't see a lot of projects for this. I need to look and see. Anyway, so that's my other knitting project. Back to cross stitching. So I have been working on the cat sampler, Eliza Ann Edwards, 1826. That I've talked about before. Sorry, this is a really bad picture of it, but that's the best I can do. And I realized the book I got from is Woman's Day needlework book that has like complete needlework. And it is, sorry, the color keeps changing based on where I hold this piece of paper. The, it has in there that it says, I think this one says it's something about the Brooklyn Museum in Brooklyn, New York. When I looked on their website, I could not find a picture of it, but it dawned on me the other day that I bet I could, well, I could email them. They may or may not answer me, and that's fine. But I may email them and ask them, do they still own this? And is there a picture online of it? Is there a better photo of it? Because this is the photocopy I took out of a book from 1961, 62. And even though the pictures in the book aren't faded, it's still, there's still a lot I can't see that if I could, and I tried enlarging this and it doesn't really get a lot better. Wait, I've been working on this. I've got, I think I mentioned last time, I've got the main part of this green done so that, so I have this done in the border all the way around. And then I have parts of the border done. I have this one corner motif here done. And I have these done. I've started down this side. This is the top. But I've made some pretty good progress on the bottom fourth. I would say half, but it's not half. So I've got the house, the structure. I was doing this in public. I was like, finished with my construction work for today. And someone else sitting across from me said that when she glanced up at this and didn't know what it was, she said, this looks like construction equipment with the yellow. And she's like, that looks like a crane is putting the bricks up there. So we had a good laugh. But so this is it. But I've started, there's all these little animals in the grass in front of that very, very dark is a dark green, but in front of the house on the grass, you can see the swans. There's supposed to be little dogs, and then there's the deer with his antlers. And I'm choosing my own colors on this mainly because I don't have a choice. The pattern just says red, light blue, chartreuse, light green, dark green. There's one blue I think it's this one. I have to go back and look. Yeah. This blue is charted as light blue, but I don't think I like it. So I think I'm going to go with, there's a gray blue. It's hard to do. I don't know if you can tell a difference, but instead of this baby blue, I think I'm gonna change some of it to this gray blue. I may even take that out. That's blue. I don't know if that's the gray. That may be the gray blue. Yeah, I'm not happy with this one, but this is stitched on. Um, I don't have it with me. The details. It is stitched on 30 count linen, and I think it's called honey, something honey. I'll include the details below. It's on 30 count linen. It's going to be about 18 by 24 when I finish. I'm using DMC floss, 2/2, except for this pretty guy right here. That little dog is done in 1/1. Now, the instructions from the 60s said that these were done 1/1. Well, it just said it was done over one stitch, so I don't know how many threads. But they suggested doing them in satin stitch, and I don't really like satin stitch. So I did the little dog, and I think, and once I get it finished, it's hard to see on here, but there's some little motifs around that are hard to see, but this is done 1/1. These are going to be done. These little sailboats are done over one. I think these little people are. I may even add some more right in here under the cap because I think it just really adds a lot to it. There's a lot going on, but then, and the colors aren't showing up well. That dark green, I know looks black on here, but it really is dark green. But that's a dark brown. The little dog is brown. I think you can see that's brown. I've never done one until this, and I'm like, it was kind of nerve-wracking at first. May not exactly match the chart, but I don't care because I don't think the chart exactly matches the original, and not everything in here is symmetrical, and that's okay. But he looks enough like a dog. I say he, maybe a she. So that's where I am on that. Yeah, that's what looks like a sheep right now, but it's supposed to be a dog. I may go back and add some brown spots on that because and maybe it'll look better once I get more of the dark green around it for the grass. I think these little red spots are supposed to be flowers. So yeah, this is not a lifelong, but it's a long project. And I enjoy working on it. The highest count I'd ever worked on before was 28 count linen. But I'm enjoying this. It does require parts of it require concentration, but I do sometimes go to groups where I cross stitch. And so that's why, like I was able to do this brickwork easily because I didn't need to do a whole lot of counting. It's just like every other stitch. And the same with this grass down here. I'll probably save that too when I'm at cross stitch. Or if I'm just tired in the evening, but I want to stitch because now from here to here is just fill in. Just there's more of this lighter green, and then all this is the darker green, and there's dark green all. So, and then I still need to do the roof for the house. And then on top of the roof is a little chimney, and then you can't see it in this picture. There's chimneys. No, there's one chimney. These are birds. And even in the chart, they are the oddest looking thing. So one of them is two of them are profile, so you just see one eye. But one of them is looking straight at you, and there are two eyes. And it really doesn't look like a bird. It looks like I don't know what it looks like. It doesn't look like a bird. Okay, so the next thing they have been cross stitching. I put it down because I got frustrated. Was this sampler from Homegrown Happiness? From Home is Where the Heart Is by the Kooler Design Studio from 1990 that I've talked about numerous times. And the chart has errors, so if you have this book and you decide to do that pattern, pay attention. There's charting errors. But I finally the other day I was like, I want to work on this. I'm really close to done because I do a top left start and I started at the top and I've done all the back stitching up here or most of it. So I have done a lot of this in the last week or two, particularly the last week. I've done the back stitching around the jam, and the back stitching just really brings it out. These are eggs. You can't see them well yet, but once I start doing the back stitching over here, I got a few stitches here I need to go back but you can see the difference between the houses that are not back stitched and the ones that are. Yeah, these designs really, if they were designed to have the back stitching, and they need the back stitching to bring them out. And then, of course, there's more border down here. There's this red. It's going to be duplicated up here. And then the bottom says home cooking. And yeah, this is the rest of the border. If there's anything below that. Anyway, this green and blue is pretty mindless stitching. Again, I've been working on a lot of this as confetti, little bits and pieces, lots of different shades of brown. Doing that when I'm at home. So then I did take it to a cross stitch meetup last month, that I can, and this is done on 18 count Ada 2/2 DMC. And it's going to be pretty cute. I started it in March of 2025. So I've been working on that. And like I said, I'm really happy with it. Yeah, the letters down here will have the shadow, which is a whole, give it that shadow look. And yeah, I've gotten a lot done in the last week. And it's always exciting to me when it's like, okay, I'm just doing blobs of color. What is going on? But then I start doing the back stitching. You start seeing, oh, that's a bag of flour, a cotton bag of flour, a fabric bag for flour, and the bread, and there's the rolling pin, and the milk bottle's starting to come out, and the pie. It really brings it out and really get those dopamine hits. So that's all that I'm working on. Plan on continuing socks and poncho and the 2 cross stitch things, trying to alternate between them so I do not hurt my hands or arms, which I tend to do. I had heard of the Vogue knitting book, and my local yarn shop, they were talking about maybe buying a few copies to see if they would sell. I think it retails for $40, maybe $45. I think it retails for $40. Yes, I know I can get it cheaper on Amazon, but that's not the point. But the suggested retail is like $40. Well, I decided to check it out at the library. Oh, interlibrary loan. They had a copy. I've heard it was a big book. They are not lying. And this is the version from 2018. Apparently, there's one from 89 and then like 2002. This is it. It's heavy. This is not something you put in your project bag and carry around. It is the ultimate knitting. I picked it up yesterday from the library. I've looked through it some. It's not projects. They're not going to tell you, it's not a follow this pattern, you're going to get a hat. There's everything in here about yarns and needles, all your knitting tools. They have good diagram. It's big. Where are the? It's a coffee table size book. Okay, this is a regular piece of printer paper. Okay, that's how big it is. So it's like 11 inches, but what is that? It's not, but you can see my 10-inch paper. 8.5 by 10, that it is large. I guess I should, well, that's a free pattern. These are the type diagrams it has. It also has, look, here's a photo of different kinds of needles. And they explain each one as far as what it's made from, needle lengths, needle tips. They give you ideas about, the pros and cons of it. Here's detailed information about different types of yarn. It is almost the ultimate knitting library. There's a few things that, okay, it doesn't go into a lot of details about socks. It does have sock information, toes and heels. And it even has, gives you suggestions about if you're doing more than a crew length, if you need to go up your leg, how you can increase. But you need to know how to knit socks before you could do that. It has cables, lace knitting, mosaic knitting, brioche, interlock, directional knitting, double knitting, how to correct errors, professional blocking and assembly, knitwear cleaning, care and storage. But it even has quite a bit about designing pullovers and cardigans, from proper fit and shaping to choosing design elements. So it doesn't give you a pattern, but I think, if you, when I haven't knitted any type of garment yet, it helps you with fitting for you, or taking different parts of patterns and making your own unique pullovers and cardigans. I think there's 25 different cast ons it has. It gives you all the definitions of stitch abbreviations so you can understand it. There's a whole chapter on understanding instructions, correcting errors, designing sweaters, shawls, and accessories. And accessories being hat, gloves, mittens, socks. The one thing it doesn't talk about is what we now call amigurumi, which this was written in 2018, but amigurumi was starting to get popular then. And I think there's been knitted dolls for many, many years. So there's no 3D items in here. There's no stuffed items. So you're not going to get, it doesn't talk about amigurumi, which I think more people do crochet than they do knitting, but it doesn't talk about any of that. It's not like I said, it doesn't have projects. Here's a page where they explain, if you're doing cable knitting and reading charts. The other thing is at the bottom of the pages, it will say, I found a good example of one. So it's saying the basic knit stitch. And at the bottom of the page, it tells you, I don't know if you can see that, some of the terms used on this page. Here's the page that explains it in more detail. So cast on, double, I can't read backwards. This is showing up reverse on my screen. Purl, knitting belt, double pointed needles. So you don't have to go to the index to then find those terms. You can just look down here, flip to that page, and flip back. I looked at some of the reviews online, and I know people were like, "Oh, I wish I had it electronically." I don't know that I would want it, but I like print. But I like ebooks too, reading. See, those are some of the diagrams and the explanations. I think that, like the other book, the How to Knit, you would use it in conjunction with other ways to learn. Use it in conjunction with watching videos for patterns, easy patterns. There's a worksheet to help you determine. Here's how to measure yourself, and then there's a worksheet. The body measurement, and it tells you you can't see it, it's really tiny, all the body measurements. And then I think then you look at this, if how much ease to add, yeah, how to add ease, and then based on your gauge, how many stitches you would cast on. Yeah, here's like these pages you can copy so that, and even they have this like chart if you wanted to chart your own color work. So you could chart out a pattern if you wanted to do a word or, whatever. Some of there's also photographs of stitches, some of which, this is brioche knitting. Those are photographs. You can see what it should look like. Some of them are a little hard to grasp because it doesn't come across in a photo the same way it does in person. How to measure your foot, how to do thumbs for mittens and gloves, different thumb gussets, how to close off the top of a hat, blocking a hat, suggested head circumference. It just, yeah, it's pretty. But yeah, here's like to measure your leg if you want knee-high socks or above the knee. Like I said, I just got it from the library yesterday. So far, I'm impressed. I'm really thinking about purchasing it because I like to have reference materials. Even though I've just started knitting, I want reference materials. So I kind of see buying this one day. It doesn't, I thought, well, they published it in 2018. They may be coming out with a new version soon. But then when I look at their history of how often they come out with this book, it's like every 16 to 20 years. So, well, no, 13 to 16 years between the last ones. So this one was done 8 years ago. I don't think I want to hold off waiting for them to publish a new one that I would go ahead and get this one. It's pretty timeless. This one apparently has more sections in it than the one published in 2002. And it's high quality binding. And again, I think, you think, oh man, $40. But if I went out and bought numerous small books, it would add up. And this one, I paid $15 for it. And it is good for a reference, but it's very, very basic stitches in it. It's not, the Vogue knitting book is like, I think it has every cast on and cast off that has ever been dreamed of. And it's, if you went out and bought individual books at $15 to $20 a piece, obviously 2 or 3 and you've spent $40, or you buy this one. So I do suggest, if you don't have it, you've never seen it, see if you can get it from your library so you can look at it, because I'm a big proponent of libraries as well. So in addition to that, Vogue has this one, the Ultimate Quick Reference. This one's a lot smaller. It's paperback. It's for you to carry in your project bag. It doesn't have as much detail as the big one, but it has some of the same information. Yeah, there's information here about magic loops, casting on and knitting with circulars. Yeah, there's magic loop information. So they got pictures and diagrams and descriptions. And so, like I said, you probably want to learn from a different method, either in person or a more detailed book or a video. But this can really help with, like, how do I do the magic loop again? Obviously, you can look it up on your phone, but this way, if you don't want to pull out your phone, you're trying to have some technology-free time, then you could look in here. How to do some different borders and edges, which I think would be handy if maybe you have a pattern of something, but you're like, I really like a little something, something extra on there. And they even how to fold and store your sweaters. That's what this is. How to take care of your clothing. Always store knits flat, because if you hang them up on a hanger, they stretch and the shoulders get all wonky. Even on padded hangers, it's pulling gravity. Um, here's attaching separate pieces and hemming. Yeah, here's the knitting terminology chapter, which is, I don't know if it's as complete as the one in the big book, but in this book, retails for $23. Oh, and it has this in the back. Handy dandy measuring and checking your needle sizes. And that goes 4 inches, so you can check your gauge. And then, yeah, this, an 8-inch ruler. So I think this, I think I did buy this one. I think it's worth its money too. I haven't used it a lot yet, but just looking through it because, like I said, I'm still doing really simple knitting. I'm hoping to get the book No Fear Socks by Denise Love, I think is her last name. Earth Tone Girl is her YouTube. She has a book out, No Fear Sock Knitting. The local yarn store is trying to order that, and I want to support them. If I can't get it from them, I will probably order. I think I can order directly from her. And they were, when I talked to them almost 2 weeks ago, because they've been closed last week and this week, they were looking at getting it, but the distributor, they needed to order 15 books. They'd put in their paperwork for ordering as a wholesaler, but they needed to order 15 units. So that's what they were trying to decide, well, which books to order. They didn't have to order 15 of that book. At least 2 other people said they did want that book, so they will probably order 3 or 4 of that, but they needed some others. And this is one of the ones they said, we're thinking about ordering a copy or 2 of this. And at the time, I was like, oh, I haven't seen it, but I'm not going to promise I'll buy one. But now I'm really thinking if they get one in stock, 1 or 2 in stock, they're a small store, so they're not going to have 15 copies of the same book. It just doesn't make sense for them to do that. Then I may buy that one, and yeah, like I said, it's an investment, but it would last. It'd be around. I will be able to use it for the rest of my life, which hopefully will be a long time. And so I've rambled a lot longer than I thought I would. It's been 42 minutes. If you have any questions, drop them below. Leave me a comment about what are you working on. I don't really set New Year's resolutions or new goals. It just, I think so many years of being in the corporate, I had to set annual goals. I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, I have ideas in my head of, oh yeah, I want to finish these socks. I want to learn more about knitting. I want to do some more complicated patterns. I want to learn some different stitch patterns. I want to learn some more cast stones. I just do the long tail cast stone, and I have been practicing the Turkish cast stone for toe-up socks. So that's one of the things on my list is some toe-up socks and have a beanie type hat, and to just keep knitting and keep discovering more about it, and uh, trying to finish up like some of the cross stitch things and crochet. And I have I have some quilting projects I need to work on. But I also have a lot of quilting fabric, and I don't quilt much anymore. So one of the things that kind of dawned on me the other day is it's time to let go of a lot of that stash. Just let it go. I did that last year with paper crafts and scrapbooking stuff. I had loads of it. I wasn't really using it. Really, what I tried junk journaling. I kept trying it. It looks great. It looks fun. I sit down and do it for a bit, but I don't have a dedicated space for it. Maybe part of the issue. And one day I just decided it's got to go. And I got rid of, kept a few scrapbooks and scrapbooking pages, but for the most part, I sold a lot of it. Rubber stamps. I had all kinds of rubber stamps. I still have a few scrapbooking things I need to get and sell. Jelly plates, all that. And but I had all kinds of mini rubber stamps and loads of scrapbooking paper, and like I said, stuff for junk journaling, and just I tossed a lot of the junk journal stuff because it was junk. It really was, and I tossed a lot, and then I sold a lot for relatively tried to sell it inexpensively. I needed it gone. If somebody else can enjoy it, that's the main thing. I made a couple of, I got a little bit of my money back. I wouldn't say I made money, but um, and it felt great to get that out. So I need to do that. It kind of clicked in my head the other day of I have a lot of quilt tops that need to be finished, and I'm happy I have them, and I want to finish them. But I think my days of piecing quilt tops for right now, it's over. I haven't done much in the last few years. Even when I was doing it, I've really had kinda lost interest, and now that I'm knitting and I'm back into cross stitch, those are a lot more portable, they're a lot easier to do while sitting on the couch watching TV, and I'm enjoying them. And to hold on to fabric that's I've had for 20 years or more is absurd when there are people out there who will use the fabric. So that's not really a New Year's resolution, but it's just something that clicked in my brain the other day of let it go, let it go. Create more space in your house. There's also, I'm sitting here right now looking at a chair that has two banker boxes overflowing with quilting magazines and books. If I need a quilt pattern, I can find one. Um, I have, even if I got rid of those two banker boxes, I would still have more quilt patterns than I could do in this life. And I have been through the quick and easy, let's crank quilts out phase. Now I'm in the era of I want things that take time. And I have a couple of quilt tops. I have one quilt in particular that I'm hand quilting. Some of my earlier videos, you'll see pictures of some uh, very old quilts from my great grandmother that I'm repairing. I have lots of hand to do. And I was sitting here today thinking, I can't believe if you had told me when I was 15 and was learning to sew on the sewing machine, if you had told me I was going to sit and knit socks, I would have thought you had really lost your mind. I that I am working with this thin yarn and these teeny tiny needles. These are US ones, they're teeny tiny, and I enjoy it. And I, well, I did cross stitch in the, in my 20s, and I enjoyed cross stitch a lot then as well as now. But when I learned to sew on a sewing machine, which some of it was age. I hated hemming. I didn't want to have, you had to hand hem stuff. Oh, it was annoying. But yeah, so if you had told me back then that I would be doing this, because in my 20s, I also learned to tap. Didn't do a lot of it, but I did learn to tap, which is even smaller thread than this. That I can't believe how much I'm enjoying it. Some rambling on here. Um, so hello, what are you working on? What do you have coming up? Do you have big plans or do you just kind of whatever you feel like? I know there's a lot of YouTube videos right now about 12 cast-ons or, what their goals are for the year. And that's, whether it's cross stitch or knitting, crochet. My brain just doesn't work that way. It kind of overwhelms me if I do that. Um, so I may have ideas in my brain, but I don't hold them as these are resolutions or these are goals. I need to complete this by this date because I'm just shifting into a different part of life. I've been retired for 15 months now. And with it being the end of the year, of course, there is some reflection. And I think about how I felt a year ago. And I I'm in a different mind space. Still have some, yeah. I was in the corporate world. I was in the world of IT for like 40 years. So some of the, and it was mainly for corporations uh, doing this accounting type stuff. Nothing really all that exciting. Um, but being away from it, my body's relaxing and my brain is relaxing. And I do need to find the balance of don't sit and do this until your hand hurts. Oh, by the way, you do need to do laundry. I love laundry. I need to do my laundry. Nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to do the dishes. Um, I would say nobody else is going to cook, but I can go get food from restaurants. But I'm trying not to do that. Uh, so I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. If so, please give me a like, the thumbs up or a like, subscribe if you want to hear more. Um, some of I'm hoping to start doing more videos over the next year. And oh, one thing I may do this year is there's a channel, K3N Cloth Tales. I'll leave a link below to her channel. For the last couple of years, she's done a weekly slow I guess you'd call it a stitch along. And I've watched the last 2 years. I watch every week, and I don't do the stitching. But I'm thinking I may wanna follow along this year. Uh, this year, she's going to do it'll either be you can put it all together like a stitch journal, or you can create a big, long scroll. And she's gonna start with the letter A, and so next Monday, she will do I think she does it every Monday. She's gonna do all the letters in the alphabet throughout the year. So she's gonna start with the letter A, and she'll have A is for whatever. It may be applique based on this she's at. A is for, and it may be a technique or a particular stitch. And then she's gonna ask people for suggestions of what the next week will be for. So people can leave suggestions, and whatever seems to be the most common is what the next week will be for. So A is for, and people can put, I don't know if there's any rules, but say, A is for some particular stitch that starts with letter A, then that's what she would do the next week. And you end up with small stitch samples, or you can just watch them and then use those ideas on other projects. She does all this hand stitching. You can go back and watch what she did over the past year, which is comfort, the coverlet of comfort, which is, yeah, it's coverlet. It's a bed. It's huge. And each month had a different theme about family or self, balance, different themes like that. She has some other videos as well, so I'll link to her below. I can't decide if I want to commit to that or not. I keep thinking about doing it, and I need to tell myself, though, that I can try, and if I don't do all of it, that's okay too. Uh, there's no police, she doesn't monitor it, no one does. You do it yourself, so we'll see. And if I do that, if I do follow along with her, I will be showing you my updates, obviously. I'm not gonna repeat everything she says. Go watch her. Go watch Katherine. But if I do it, I may show you. So this went on a lot longer than I planned. So I will end it now. I hope everyone has a good day and Happy New Year. Bye.